just 2 plants. I can show you the trunk down here is massive for an annual. I started these this spring and I got the seeds from Baker Creek. Thai red Roselle. You can make jams, soda, adult beverages, pies, lots of things with this. And the new growth, the new leaves, are edible and taste lemony. If you start to go down, they get more fibrous, so you want whatever's coming out of the tip. And the part that you make the jams and the everything else I just listed out of, oh, and tea, almost most importantly is tea. The part that you make that out of is the, let's see, there we go, the calyx of the plant. So the flower blooms, the flower senesces or dies back, and then the calyx envelops the seed pod, which is on the inside. And it's that calyx that you use for all those different treats. So we picked, I don't know, about 1.5 buckets of Haas bucket of these, and then whatever you pick, you can just plan on having actually half of that to put in your jam. So I'm going to show you how to make a big batch of jam with these. This is a Roselle. This is the calyx that you peel off. Okay, so I'm going to put my calyxes in here, and then I'm going to put the heart of the Roselle in this container. One-handed. The last batch I did, I threw these to the pigs and they didn't eat them. So I'm going to see if the cows like them, and maybe the chickens. And if nobody likes them, they'll just go in the compost heap. You can also use a strawberry pitter or a pin that you've taken the inside of the pin out to push through. It pushes this out, but I found that you can peel them just as easily. For me, it's just as easy. So what it boils down to is we have about 4¼ pounds of raw Roselle. And ideally, when you make jam, you want to do a small batch where the fruit is like about that much. These are going to cook way down. So I'm going to add some water to these, and I'm going to cook them way down. We shouldn't need pectin. This is these thicken up really nice, so you're not going to need any pectin. You'll just need sugar. And I'm just going to heat them up slowly. I'm not worried about bringing them to a rapid boil the way you typically would for jam making that requires pectin. I'm just worried about getting these cooked down evenly to something about right there, which they will lose a lot of their volume once they start cooking. So I'm just worried about getting these cooked down to about halfway or 1/3 without burning them. So that's going to be my goal first. These are really starting to cook down. You can see the red, bright red color on the spoon, and what I've been doing is I'll put it on medium for a few minutes, then I cut it off and I let it sit with the lid on, and then I stir it up real good, and then I put it on medium for a few minutes. Probably been working on this for about 10 or 15 minutes, heating it really slowly just to make sure that I don't burn it. As you can see, this is cooked way down. It is probably cooked down to about there. So went from there to there. I haven't been cooking this on high or a very hard boil at all. I just wanted to get it cooked down. And so as you can see, I mean, I have not added any pectin or sugar, and it is quite thick. And this is even with adding a couple of cups of water to it. I may end up adding a couple more cups, I don't know. We'll see what it looks like when we add the sugar. So 4 cups of sugar, and I'm gonna do, I measured it out and it's about 13 cups of cooked down, and it's not all the way cooked down, it's just broken down a little bit. There are actually still some kind of raw pieces in there, but that's 8. I know, massive amounts of sugar, huh? I'm gonna go with 10 cups of sugar. Okay. And the reason why I'm adding so much sugar, I used to be really big on not adding a lot of sugar to my jam. I would always use the low sugar recipes. The problem with that I found, and you know, I should have discovered this before, but I have found the problem with that is that the jams do not keep as well. I can notice a difference in texture and color and taste after about 6 months, even when the jars are stored in the dark. So the sugar, and then, you know, I read this somewhere and I was like, oh, that's why. The sugar acts as a preservative in your jam. So these Roselles are pretty sour already, so they have a high acid content. So I don't know yet if I want to add lemon juice. And I don't think Ball has a recipe for Roselle Jam. So, somebody knows of a USDA approved recipe for Roselle Jam, you just let me know. But as long as it's acidic, around 4, so not just barely acidic, but acidic, something that's going to taste sour to the human tongue, it's fine for hot water bath canning. But I recommend, if you're not following a recipe, that you use pH papers to just confirm that your pH is at around 4. You don't want to get sick. Okay, I don't have this on the heat at all. I think, I'm going to add any water to that. I think once I cook that down, it's going to make a nice jam. This has been simmering for about 2 hours, and this is the consistency. So not super thick like a jam, but I like it. I like it like this. I think it's going to be good. So next we are going to bring our water bath canner to a boil, and then we're going to put our preserves or jam or whatever you want to call it, we're going to put that in our jars. We have all the jars loaded. We have some Weck jars that we loaded. We have Ball jars and Anchor glass jars. This is the first time that I've used the Weck jars, and I will say that they're a little unstable when you put them in the canner. I had 2 of them flip over. One of them was okay, the other one did have some leakage, so I'll have to see if that one seals correctly. Now we need to bring it to a rolling boil and boil for 10 minutes. It is the next morning. We are going to check the seals on our jars, and I'm going to check these Weck jars first. And I just wanted to make a quick note that the Roselle Jam has set up even more than it was yesterday, which is great. Okay, take these clips off. This is one that looks like it is one of the ones that turned over when I put it in the canner, so I'm interested to see. Alright, seal is good. I wanted to say something else about these jars. Normally, when I do jam, I do 1/4 of an inch in your standard type jar. This guy, this is an Anchor Glass brand jar. This is a Ball brand jar. It's the same volume. It's 1/2 pint. When I was doing the WEC, the glass lid, the lid's glass, the glass lid nests down inside of the jar. So, you know, and I probably should have read instructions specific for canning with WEC jars, and I didn't. I just figured, you know, I should have enough experience that I can wing it. And I did wing it, but I had to make some adjustments. So anyway, the point I'm trying to get to, this lid nests down inside the jar. So you almost need to add about 1/4 of an inch to whatever headspace you think you need, because otherwise it is going to be sitting in the jam. And if it's sitting in the jam, there's a chance that it pushed the jam up and underneath the seal, and you want to avoid that if you can. All right, so let's do all the WEC jars. I'm afraid when I pull these clips off, it's gonna break the seal. Seal looks pretty good. The gaskets on these WEC jars are different than the Tatler gaskets. The Tatler gaskets, you can tell, are rubber. They're very thick and they have like a rubber powder on them. These gaskets were a lot thinner and didn't have any powder. I mean, they may not even be 100% rubber, I don't know. But they did seem like they were different consistency of material than the Tatler gaskets. Okay, that one's looking good. Woo! That one's looking good. It's looking good. All right, so all the WEC jars sealed. These are just standard. That one's good. That one's good. That one's good. That one's good. I get my Anchor Glass jars from Walmart. They're about $1 per pack cheaper than the Ball jars. And this is going to sound controversial to what a lot of people say, but this is absolutely the truth in my experience. I have had numerous cracked Ball jars during canning. Numerous. I don't know if it's because of all of the fancy stuff they try to put on them. I've never had this size crack, I should say, but I have had pint jars crack and I've had quart jars crack. I have literally never had an Anchor Glass jar crack in the canner. And I should note, when they crack, it's always the new jar, so it's some sort of a defect. Anyway, all of these sealed, which I'm super excited about. So I mean, I don't really feel anything sticky on the outside of them. I don't even think they need to be washed. I usually always wash them, but these are really clean. So I just want to encourage you to try new things. And if you live in an area where traditional items don't grow, like I can't really grow rhubarb here, this is supposedly a really good substitute for rhubarb and rhubarb pie. So Roselle grows really well here, and so I decided, you know, let's see what all I can make with Roselle. This is the first thing of the season. I made some jam, and then the next batch I pick this coming weekend, I'm going to make a pie with it. Until next time, thanks for joining me, and please don't forget to hit like and subscribe.